Laughing Vikings Live. High vibe chats with actors, comedians, and creators, plus stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, and most importantly, you. That's right, join us every Monday for new episodes, and you can be a part of the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Ask questions and interact in the comments. And make sure to share this with your actor, comedian, and creator friends so they can be a part of the show too. Can't make a live show? No problem. You can catch up on your favorite podcast platform and visit laughingvikings.com to find out how you can join the cast and crew. All right, it's time for today's show. Buckle up and make sure you stick around to the end because we have a special surprise for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Laughing Vikings Live. Happy Monday Fun Day. Let's go.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is episode 103. 103, baby. How you doing, BK Broiler?
I am fantastic, Lars. It has been a great week here at Laughing Vikings. And, well, I'm not technically at Laughing Vikings right now, but I was this morning.
You're always there in spirit, wherever
Yes.
you are. Laughing Vikings is like church. It's not the building. It's more in the air and in the community and in the spirit. It's not really tied to a physical location. Yes, and speaking of exciting news, why don't we just get into it? This episode, we're going to talk a lot about lots of good news, lots of exciting things happening around the studio, lots of growth, lots of expansion, just moving on up. And just if you're not growing, you're dying. So we got some great news, and let's start with your great news, BK.
So I booked a small role on an upcoming TV show. So I'm going to be filming that some point in September. Very excited to be a part of the production and very excited to be working on set again. It's been a really great week, and I'm very excited to get started on this.
There you go. And I see you've been working on your dance moves.
Oh yeah, always.
We're raising the virtual roof here.
Look at us go.
Congrats. Yeah. And fun fact about that one.
Oh yeah.
You did that in the same day. We worked on a self-tape together that you submitted for another project that you booked, and you shot that already. That was the feature film that you were up north for a few weeks ago. Yep. And that same day, you were here in the studio because you had a Zoom appointment, a Zoom session, like a live Zoom session with casting and production, and you booked it. So that was a 2 for day, 2 for 2.
This it was.
Hell of a day. I believe it was a Monday too.
It was a Monday. And then immediately after doing that, I went to do my Fringe show, which was the last week of that Fringe show, The Prince's Big Adventurer with Stephen Elliott Jackson, who just got his first Dora nomination for Best Original Play.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations to Stephen Elliott Jackson.
Yeah, and you can watch Stephen Elliott Jackson. He's a writer-director, and we had him on an episode. Do you remember what episode he was on?
1 second, Lars.
Let's look it up. If only there was some way we could figure it out.
If only.
Maybe shout it out your window?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe if anyone in the comments, shout it out in the comments.
What episode was Stephen Elliott Jackson on our podcast for?
Come on. Let us know.
Anyone? Yeah, win a prize. Anyone?
Win a prize, everybody. Come on.
Super fans? You guys should know this. It's only 103 episodes. You should have them all like the back of your hand.
Come on. You were doing so well before.
That should be a test. Let's do that. Let's make that a test.
Make that a test.
If we can rattle off 103
episode 40.
Episode number 40.
Stephen Elliott Jackson was 60 episodes ago.
And
63.
What was his what play was he nominated for?
He was nominated for the play Three Ordinary Men. It's about the Tennessee burning, about 3 men that go to check the remains of a church they built to help with the Black community in Tennessee, and they were murdered by it because of it. And it's an incredibly tragic tale. Fantastic work by all 3 of the actors that were in it. It was one of the hardest last scenes I have ever sat through in my life. I have never wanted to get up and help the other actors on stage more than I did in that last scene. It still gives me chills. Like right now, I'm tense. Like I wish I could do anything about that last moment, because like they're helpless, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful what Steven did, what the whole team did. It's absolutely fantastic work. If it does get a revival, go see Three Ordinary Men. You will not regret it.
Nice. And for those who don't know, the Dora Awards, they are presented by the Toronto Alliance for the Performing Arts, and the Doras recognize excellence in local theater, dance, and opera. And they're presented at the Elgin and Winter Garden Theater this September.
Yes. Yeah. So fingers crossed for Steven and the entire Three Ordinary Men team. So thank you all so much.
Congrats. Yes.
Yeah.
And what else? We got some news. One of our Actors Audition Club members was in this morning to record an audition, and he told you about some good news he got on a recent audition. Yeah. He
booked 4 episodes on a new TV series playing a coach, I believe. And so that's very exciting for Pat Thornton. Congratulations, Pat Thornton. You rock. One of the funniest people around, and one of our favorites. Both seeing him on Comedy Alley and in studio, he's always so fired up and just gives it his all, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, Pat's one of those great guys who's, as an actor, he's very secure about who he is and what he brings to the table, and really doesn't mess around. Like I know that you've run a lot of his sessions. I have too. He doesn't spend a ton of time doing take after take after take.
No.
He has a plan in his head and an idea of what he does, and he has his, for lack of a better term, his go-to moves. And once he nails it, he's like, "Yep, I'm good." He's also got a wife and a young toddler as well too, so he can't spend all day doing auditions, which is part of the reason he comes here to do them with us. And we also connect with him a lot of times on Zoom. Recently, he was on set shooting a show out in the greater Winnipeg area, and so he's in his hotel or in his trailer and not able to have access to a regular setup. So we were connecting with him there when he was on the road shooting from his trailer or from his hotel room. Often he's zooming in from his house, and when he has an opportunity, he's here in the studio. But what I love about him is he's always super funny. He's hilarious. Often just with one look. He's one of Pat's signature moves is holding that last look.
That last look.
A lot of actors are in a hurry to leave. They want to leave the frame, or they just don't have the bold confidence to hold a look. He's also got some great eyebrow work that he's often getting the brows into the game, but he'll just hold that last look and you just fade out on his last look. It's always super funny. So congratulations, Pat Thornton. You're on fire.
Yeah.
We had a lot of momentum. There's a heck of a lot of booking. I wish we had some kind of ticker that just showed like booking percentages, or every time someone got a check from something that they booked here, so we could see, like, instead of the McDonald's now serving 1 billion hamburgers, it would be Laughing Vikings Actors Audition Club.
Helped actors earn.
Now, actors earning, now paying $1 million towards.
Yeah, that would be great
if we were to add them all up. Yeah.
We need that would be so cool.
All right. You hear that, members? We need access to all of your bank accounts and your tax returns. And
this all relies on you, everybody. Come on.
Yeah. No, it's been great. And we also had, I don't want to say a new client because she'd been here long in the past, but this was her first time back post-pandemic. We hadn't seen her in a long time. And that is Aisha Brown, who is a fantastic stand-up comedian. Also, she does a lot of musical comedy with her musical comedy collective, Running at the Mouth, with, I think, I believe Chris Robinson is a part of that, and also Marito Lopez as well, too, and some other Toronto comics are in that. I'm missing a few of them. But she was recently in. You helped her with an audition, and she says, 5 stars. I can't recommend these guys enough. They're really professional, helpful, and kind. The last session I booked with Brandon was actually fun, and I got great feedback about the audition. There is nowhere else I would go for a self-tape. That's a good testimonial. 5 stars. Yet another 5-star review here for Actors Audition Club and Laughing Vikings. And you ran that session. I could hear it from outside the room. I was outside the studio in the front room, and listening to it, I'm like, she's nailing it. Like,
and she's so funny.
I didn't see any of the sides, but I could tell just by the attitude and the swagger of the character that she was playing into that I was like, this is perfect for her. This is this is totally in her wheelhouse. You want to talk about it?
A little bit. Aisha is so funny, and like, oh my God, as soon as we started working on it, she came in and she didn't feel like she was as prepared as she wanted to be. But you know what? She came in and she delivered, and it was so funny to watch that progression from the first take to the last take. And that's one of my favorite things to see with actors is watching them go from 0 to 106. And it's absolutely incredible to watch. And
right. Yeah, when they find out all the beats and all the moments and really nail their line reads on every line, and they're not missing opportunities. They're like hitting all those spots, like
and they're not afraid to play around with like the words, with the way it's sounding, with the way it's feeling to them, and like they're not afraid to change things up and to try something different, or like see how this works so that we can incorporate it later. And she's one of the best at it, and she is fantastic. I can't say much more other than that was such a treat to be a part of, and she absolutely fucking crushed it.
And we're probably going to be hearing about when she books it too. And the fun thing about it is we immediately got an email from her agent, Carolyn Sterling at Grand Wave Entertainment.
Yeah.
Carolyn's amazing, Morgan's amazing, Grand Wave and all their clients are awesome, and we work with a lot of them here. But Carolyn's one of the few agents that always gives feedback. Like almost always, she'll reply, "This is fantastic, love this so much, great work." And she was extra exuberant with Aisha's tape there to let us know, and she was like, "Please make sure Brandon knows. Thank you, thank you, thank you." One thing I'll say too about all actors who are also stand-up comedians, we've got the privilege of working with a lot of people here who are also headlining stand-up comedians who have done all the festivals and done all the clubs, and of course doing our Comedy Alley shows. But the thing I love about stand-ups is they're completely bold and fearless with their strong choices and with their character choices. Whereas sometimes I find quote unquote straight actors will be a little more timid or reserved, or a little more like, tell me what to do, or what should I do, or what do you think? I don't know if that's a reliance on a director or a writer, whereas a stand-up comedian, most times, with the exception of like a big Netflix special, you're the writer, you're the performer, and you're the director of your own show every night when you're a stand-up performer. And you got to be big and bold enough to capture an entire audience. You got to be big enough to play to the back of the room. You have to be fearless enough to make yourself look like an idiot in front of a group of strangers as well. So I think that the training of being a stand-up comedian for a lot of people, especially when it's a comedic, or what you'd call a comedic piece, and as we know from learning with Tom Todoroff, everything is everything, and comedy has drama and drama has comedy. However, if it's specifically something that is over the top comedy, stand-ups always crush those because they're completely fearless. And that's part of the reason I'm sure Aisha was amazing doing that, is she didn't have any fear in being too big, you know?
No.
I'm going to be right back. I got to just plug in my laptop. So hold down the fort. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. It's such a privilege to see actors go from their humble beginnings to like the final take that we do, because it is completely night and day, and it's so fun to see that progression. And I was talking to someone about it recently, because I think it's so wonderful that we're able to do this now. We're able to take the time with our auditions. We're able to apply so many of the things that we've learned. And I think Lars is right in a lot of respects about stand-up comedians. They trust themselves. And I think there's a lot of straight actors that get so heavily reliant on the words and the text and having that as almost a crutch, that they're not able to completely lose that. And like, there's a lot of times where you'll be like, fuck, I fucked the line. And like, that's fine. But like, don't worry about what the line is. Focus on your thoughts behind that line. Right. Focus on the intention that's going into it. Focus on what you need from that other character. And that's what stand-up comics are really great at, is they're able to trust themselves and just go for it. And like, just focus on just doing it. And that's a great thing, is like, they're just able to go. And that's so fun to see. And I think a lot of actors can incorporate that sort of philosophy into what they're doing already, and it would help them so tremendously.
Right. Yeah.
So,
comedians also have I believe, a stronger sense of communication and competition as well. When you're a stand-up and it's just you on stage, but there's an audience of 50 or 100 or 1,000 people, you develop a real muscle of message sent, message received, and sensing the room. You say something and you can really sense them. If assuming you're seasoned, you can sense when something is awkward is happening, or when something doesn't land, or when it does. You get a sense of like, oh, I can go even harder at this because those people are loving that. So I'm just going to drill it in. And I think there's a lack of a fear factor that sometimes is still in. And like you said, it's about it's not really about, it's like, the words are the words and the text is the text, but it's about bringing that off of the page and transcending that as a character and inhabiting this character and bringing it to real life and personalizing it. And stand-ups do that. And stand-ups are also great storytellers. Typically vocally, they are very strong just because of all the reps too. Whereas especially it's different. If someone's got if a TV film actor, if their training is based in theater, they may have a lot of the things that stand-ups have as well. But if the TV film actor who hasn't done a lot of theater and hasn't been on stage and hasn't been in live rooms, I feel like that's like the number one fear for everyone. That's like public speaking or doing stand-up is everyone's number one fear. Whereas if you're mic'd up and you're in a tight, closed set, that's not as fear creating potentially as doing stand-up or being on stage in a room full of people. So shout out to stand-up comics, including you,
and
Brandon.
Theater actors.
Yeah. And if you're a TV film actor who hasn't done stand-up or theater, then I would suggest you got to do both. And as an actor, what's the saying? It's like TV and film will make you money, but theater will make you good.
Yep. Because
there's no cut. And what was my line again? Oh yeah, right. What was my line? Oh, sorry. Can we do that again?
Yeah.
Like, once you walk out there in a theater show, you're what was the word? You're metaphorically naked on stage, and there's no hiding once you start a theater show. It's especially if you're out there a lot.
I think sometimes the trap that you get into with theater shows is like you think that everything will have this thorough through line. And I know one of the biggest adjustments for me coming from theater school to professional acting is like that's not how things are shot on set.
You mean in
like they're not shot in order.
Yeah,
like,
all out of order.
Yeah, like in theater you have a progression. You have it from page 1 to page whatever. But like on film and on set, you're shooting page 96, or you're doing this stunt first because that's one of the most expensive shots in the scene, or like
that's interesting, because in theater a lot of that stuff can develop organically if it's a build and a build and a build, and conflict is is growing and growing, growing till the point where it bursts at the climax of the scene or the climax of the show. Whereas you might need to walk into set on day one of a TV shoot and be like, this is the big fight scene, or this is the climax of the movie that we're shooting it on day one.
Even the movie that I just finished, like I only met the person that I was best friends with 10 minutes before we actually started shooting.
Right. And then you have to have best friend chemistry immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
No rehearsals.
Nope.
That's the other downside to TV and film is often there's no rehearsal period. You're just thrust in there and you're okay. Here's your co-star. Here's your co-star. This is the scene. This is where the camera is. There's a blocking. We'll do 1 rehearsal, 2 rehearsals for blocking.
And I think that's where Tom's thing of you have to know it so well that you can't get it wrong comes in so handy, because that's how I felt. I felt like I knew it so well. I couldn't get it wrong. I know what it's like to be the best friend of someone. I know what it's like to do that. And like, once you're able to step into that, do whatever exercises you needed to do to get there, but like find yourself there and then just make sure that you're ready to deliver at action. And I don't think that's a wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and for TV and film, if you're not super prepared and you go in there, then just with changes and blocking and location changes or last minute line changes and crew, lights, camera, and all the action and sometimes the intimidation of like, oh shit, there's 500 people here and this is costing us $100,000 an hour to do this. All of a sudden your lines can go out the window if you're not super prepped. And what you want is if the director or your co-star comes up and starts talking to you about a scene, you want to have it all like, exactly. You don't have to be like, oh, let me check the script and oh yeah, right, I know what you're talking about there. It should just be like you know exactly what you're doing in every scene. You know all your lines. You know the other person's lines probably, and so that you just have it all right there. And then in that heat of the moment, lights, camera, action, when the stakes are so high, you're cool as a cucumber because you've done it 500 times at home. If you haven't had the rehearsal period, and that's the nice thing with a lot of theater shows is often you might have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of rehearsals, and so you've done it like you may have done it 500 times just in the rehearsals by the time you get there. But you need that extra rehearsal because when you do it in a theater show, it's action and there's no cut until curtain basically, and you got to just run through the whole thing. And there's no worse feeling than being in a theater show and being on stage and locking eyes with another actor, and you realize that you've like cut a section or you've jumped a section, or you see in their eyes that just that blank moment where it's like, I don't know where we are right now. And that's the worst feeling ever. But that's also what's fun about theater too, is because it's live and no matter what, you got to roll with it. I remember I did a show where one of the actors wasn't quite there with his lines. He was maybe a little green and maybe didn't realize how much prep it did take, especially once you get the audience and the lights and the sound cues and the props and the set and everything. And there was a few times where he was on stage and I could see it, like the deer in headlights in his eyes. And because I've got stand-up and improv background, which is always great as an actor, that you have that improv background, you just know, okay, you know you're out to the scene, you know where the scene's supposed to go, you know what you want, you know your relationship, you know what you're fighting for, you know what this scene is about and how it like has to wrap up. So then I was able to, I would recognize in his eyes, oh fuck, he's lost and doesn't know where he is. And then I would step up and make something up like, so tell me about, or, well, weren't you on your way to, like if I'm feeding him his line on stage without
anyone knowing,
without trying to be so obvious to it. There was one funny time, and I won't name names, but I mean, even if I did, I'm sure he'd be fine with it. But and this is a don't do in theater, is he was like through his teeth, he was like, what's my line?
Oh,
like,
God.
Where are we? And we're only like the front row is like whatever, 6 feet away or 10 feet away, like in a room where you can hear all that. So it's like in my head, I'm like, they can hear you. This isn't TV, you know. Yeah, that was really fun. That was fun for me because I knew I was always the safety net, and the rest of the cast knew I was that too. So we joke about it backstage. We were like, oh well, if we drop something, Lars will pick us up, and that pretty much was the way it would go in many of the scenes where I would have to step in and be like, okay, so what are we doing here? Don't you have to go here and you got to go there? And weren't you going to ask me about this?
I just imagine you're off stage, you're like having a coffee or something, and then it's just like you just hear dead silence. You're like, oh, all right, I guess I have to go on. There's no context for me to do it, but whatever.
I know you're saying that as a joke. That actually might have happened one time where I wasn't even supposed to be there, and I was like waiting in the wings, and I had to go out and do something. Yeah. Yeah, it really makes me miss. I after a pandemic, I do really miss theater, and I mean, obviously, I love TV and film. I love the money attached to TV and film, and it's super cool because you do TV and film, and it's forever once they get the shot and once they lock picture and edit it. But it does lack some of the magic of theater and the excitement and that butterfly moment and the idea, especially if it's not being recorded, that what is happening right now or what just happened is something that is gone into the ether forever, except for the people who experienced it firsthand. Like that was a secret magical moment just for us, and then it's gone forever, versus the permanency of TV and film combined with the tediousness of hurry up and wait, and every time they got to do a camera setup or a location change, you're really spending probably 80% of your time on a film set not acting, and most of it is hanging out, waiting around. Maybe you're rehearsing with your scene partner if you're lucky, but it's a TV film set is more for crew, does way more work than an actor does, in my opinion. Way harder to be a crew member than an actor on a TV and film set, I think.
Yes. So
they
thank
work
you to all the crew members out there.
Yeah,
you do God's work. Thank you.
Long days too. Long days for them. 12-hour, 14, 16, 18, 20-hour days. Somewhat ridiculous, actually. Hopefully they change some of those labor standards, because it's unsafe. You can't have people like working 6 days a week, 18, 20-hour days, and then expect them to drive home at the end of the shift when they're getting no sleep for 3 months straight. It's kind of crazy. But, what else? We want to talk about expansion here. So we got through the good news, all these bookings. Obviously, as a result of all these bookings, we're bringing on new clients. We just did our new enrollment to Actors Audition Club back in tail end of July, early August. But if you missed that, there's an opportunity to join the waiting list. We're going to do another enrollment period, likely October, November-ish. We'll do one more before the end of this year. So it'll be your last chance to get into Actors Audition Club in 2022. And to join the wait list, go to laughingvikings.com/join, and that will put you on the front of the wait list. You'll be first to be notified when we do open the doors to our signature audition community, Actors Audition Club. And that gives you all the benefits of being a member, including access to our online video training archives, access to our private community where you can share resources and network and collaborate with other actors, our monthly training sessions and Q&A sessions with members, as well as discounted rates on all of our services. If you don't join as a member, you can still access our audition session directors, and you can still get help with your audition sessions by booking audition sessions either in studio or via Zoom, but you'll miss out on all the benefits of being a member, and you're going to pay a little bit more as a non-member too. So join the waitlist, go to laughingvikings.com/join. And the other thing too is if you missed our Audition Hero workshop, we did a 3-day workshop series where we were helping actors level up and grow their audition processes and systems, and ultimately become better at self-tape auditions. If you missed that, you can access all of the replays and recordings. Just go to laughingvikings.com/auditionhero. And you can, like it says here, you can discover how one actor went from stressful DIY self-tapes to then booking a role in a Hollywood blockbuster plus 2 series lead in 12 months. working with us here at Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club. So if you're struggling with your auditions and every time you get an email from your agent telling you that you have to do a self-tape audition, if it's creating stress and anxiety, and certainly if you're bugging family and friends who aren't actors, if you're working with someone who's not a TV, film, theater professional in creating your audition, you're leaving a lot on the table by not working with a professional. We always let people know, as you know, all your favorite television shows and movies and theater productions that you've seen, all of those are using professional actors and professional crew. So there's a incongruence for you to think, hey, I'm going to get on a professional set with professional actors and professional crew by not using professionals to create my audition. It doesn't really make sense. So you want to be a professional? Well, start acting like a professional now. What would a professional do? They would work with professionals to create and craft their auditions. And you can learn more about that by registering at laughingvikings.com/auditionhero. And you can get instant access to all of that in addition to joining the wait list. And as a result of all this expansion too, all of our new members coming in the doors, we are expanding our what I like to call them ASDs, because I like acronyms, audition session directors. Those are the people, when you book a session with Actors Audition Club, the people who are your readers, the people who are your directors, your editors. They're running camera. They're giving you suggestions and working with you to make your audition the best it can possibly be. And we brought on a handful of new, we've got a new wave of audition session directors. So we can bring that up here. Want to do a big welcome, and you'll get to meet all of these people eventually too on the podcast, but a big welcome and congrats to our newest audition session directors. Shout out to Cheryl Poirier. That's a tough one. I can never say that name right.
Cheryl Poirier.
Cheryl Poirier. We also have Jesse Elgood, Jared Bronstein, Aaron Reed, Monine Daly, and Deanna Shinsky. So you'll see them when you're booking. We encourage you to book with them. It's always great to mix it up and work with new people. You'll get different pearls of wisdom and find different preferences with all your session directors. And you can book them to run your next self-tape session. Did I just say self-tape session?
Session, yeah.
Session.
Yeah, session.
The audition session, so nice they named it twice. Yes. So huge welcome. Cheryl, Jesse, Jared, Aaron, Monine, Deanna. The last couple of weeks, they've been shadowing sessions here in the studio and shadowing Zoom sessions. Some of them are available for both, where you can book them in our Toronto studio or Zoom. Some of them are just remote session directors, where they'll hop on a Zoom with you no matter where you are in the world and help you run that. So huge congratulations to everyone. We're super pumped to have all of you. We've already got great feedback. Many of those session directors, while shadowing, were giving the actors suggestions and or helping with camera, helping reading, helping edit the files afterwards. And we got great feedback from all the actors who were working with them too. So excited to continue to expand. And if you think that you're a person who would be a great session director, meaning you have audition experience helping people run their auditions and record self-tapes, shoot self-tapes, maybe you've got some casting experience working for a casting house or casting director as a reader or camera operator. You've got some basic editing skills. And more importantly than that, you've got a positive, upbeat, energetic, fun-loving attitude. You love actors. You love TV and film. You're not a cynic or a pessimist. You're an optimist and you like to play and have fun. Then maybe you should reach out and see about our session director opportunities. And you can just hit us up, send us a DM on any of our social media platforms, including all part of this expansion. Guess what, Brandon?
What, Lars?
We are finally on the TikToks.
Ooh, right. The TikTok?
We finally got on the TikToks. That's right. I've been resisting for a long time because it's a lot of time, obviously, to make content and post across all these platforms and then engage in the DMs and answer replies. So part of our expansion is I'm bringing on some virtual assistants to help with social media, helping with some video editing and helping with some posting across all of our platforms. So you can now find us and follow us on TikTok, We have a Laughing Vikings account where that's going to be mainly comedy content, a lot of clips from our Comedy Alley shows. And as we continue to develop and produce other TV and film content, you'll find all of that on Laughing Vikings. And all of our acting and audition related content, you'll find that on Actors Audition Club. So on TikTok, Actors Audition Club, you'll find a lot of clips from the podcast, testimonials, teaching and coaching from our guests, our actor guests and our industry professionals there. So make sure if you're on the TikTok, hit us up at Laughing Vikings for the comedy, at Actors Audition Club for the acting and audition related content. And while you're at it, just make sure that you follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at the same places. We've got Facebook pages for Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club, and we've got Instagram pages. So it doesn't matter where you're at, you can connect with us. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. And also make sure if you're watching live on Facebook and on YouTube that you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and you can listen to the audio while you're going for your run or you're working out or you're driving in the car, and you can get all that BK broiler wisdom into your ears.
Yay.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff happening around here. I'm excited to grow the team.
Yeah.
Hard to believe 5 years ago this started with me, and I was doing every session. I was on call 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. running all the sessions for all the actors, which meant I always felt bad if I took a day off or had to go on a vacation or something like that. I don't think I did, actually. I think the first time I realized that, I was like, oh shit, I've just locked myself in where I am now like a necessity to all of these actors. So then I realized if I'm going to be out of town, I can't leave these people in the lurch. So I brought on some other session directors, first part-time freelancers. You were a big part of that wave a couple years ago. And we should give you a shout out too, because you recently passed your 2-year anniversary.
I did. Yeah. It was it was last Saturday, August 27th. And it was great because Sandra Battellini filled in for one of the comics that had dropped out on the Saturday Comedy Alley show. And then she was actually my very first session at Laughing Vikings.
Right.
Yeah.
I think because I was out of town for some reason too, right?
Well, because that's your dad's birthday, right? The 27th or the 28th?
You got it. No, it was the 27th. Yeah.
And there you go. Yeah, because you left. Because I shadowed you for Sandra's session, and then I had another session after that. But you had to be out of town because it was your dad's birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the expansion, especially, and it's a challenging thing as an entrepreneur when you start something to grow it and to bring on people, because there's a certain level of letting go of things and letting other people and just trusting other people. But if you don't do that, it doesn't grow. And I've had some challenges with that where I want to be in the day to day, but then if I'm buried in the day to day of it, then there's no one working top level on the business. So a lot of my business coaching has been like, you need to operate like you're the CEO, and the CEO doesn't do every single job every single day. They work on the things that they got to work on as the owner, and then they delegate and hire and outsource and train and develop other leaders. So shout out to you too. One of the things that I on purpose have let you do is when we've had these new session directors coming in and onboarding them and having them shadow sessions, I've been fairly hands off with their training, knowing that you've run hundreds and hundreds of sessions, and knowing that if they become 80% of who you are as a session director by you sharing your knowledge and expertise with them, that they'll be all right. And I don't need to meddle in micromanaging everyone's training and how everyone is running their individual sessions, just trusting that if the overall vibe and intention and some of our values are there, that the rest will take care of it. So thank you for taking care of that. And
no worries.
I think you've if not in actual name, at least in practice, you've elevated yourself to not only a session director, but sort of the studio manager or the lead session director here since everyone will defer to you as the longtime experts and as the studio expert in-house here. So thank you for that, and congratulations as well.
Thank you.
You recently did get a little bit of a raise too, so maybe we'll call that as a result of you being here for 2 years, we gave you a little bonus raise. So let's call that lead. Yeah, I like
lead
that.
Raise.
Lead ASD, lead audition session director.
Yeah.
ASDM, audition session director manager.
No, I don't want to be a manager.
No, you don't like the word manager? Okay.
No, don't like the word manager.
Lead.
Lead I like. I'll take lead.
And then they're supporting.
Yeah.
And then they can work their way up to leads, and you'll be.
They definitely will. All of them have been so open and willing to learn, and like they've all. I probably push them a little bit, and I do my best to make sure that that they're learning as I learn as well, because I always learn so much from watching. From helping people with their sessions, whether it be Pat Thornton, whether it be Aisha Brown, or whether it be Rodrigo Fernandez Stoll, like I'm always learning from watching these actors perform and do their craft, and I think seeing a lot of these people come in, and all these comedians and all these very funny people will help everyone that is a session director. So if you do want to do this and learn about self-tapes and learn what goes on behind the scenes of making a great self-tape, I do highly recommend doing that. Whether it be with Laughing Vikings, whether it be with someone else, like we're going to be expanding. We're going to be expanding, and we're going to be global eventually. And we're not slowing down.
Yeah, it's I can speak to that too. I mean, there's a huge opportunity to make some side hustle income, as you have. Like, I know that you're more than paying your rent and monthly bills, I'm sure, most months with your session directing money. You regularly are earning between $300 and $500 weekly, I would think. So so that part of it.
I think sorry, just to talk a little bit about that point. It does take a little bit of time to get to that level. It's taken me 2 years to get to that point. Right. And like, it was a slow beginning at first, but like once actors develop a relationship with you and your style, they come back because they like that. They like that energy, and it's not going to matter who's running the session, whether it be Cheryl, whether it be Jesse, whether it be Aaron, whether it be Deanna or Monine or me. It doesn't matter, because they're going to get the same thing each time.
Right.
And that's what I absolutely love.
And actors don't want to worry about and be, is this going to go okay? Is my reader going to be good? Are they going to be able to edit? Are they going to get it in on time? And you're right. When you first started, everyone was coming to me. So there's a little bit of reluctance to be like, this is a new guy. This isn't my regular guy. And change is scary for everyone. But then what happens is, that's why we always ease people in by shadowing sessions, because then our clients get to meet that person. Sometimes they're running the camera, sometimes they're reading, sometimes they're editing, but they get to know them, get to relate to them, get to realize that they're also a great human being and have all the good vibes of everyone here at Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club, and then realize that they can trust them. But what I was going to say is, aside, the money's one thing as a side hustle. Like, obviously you get to be using your acting training and skills and craft on a daily basis here, especially on days where maybe you don't have auditions, or if you're not on set or on stage yourself, you're still acting for sometimes several hours in a day, and directing as well. But on top of that, you're developing all these relationships. And of course, in addition to the craft of acting, this is a business where when you do have solid relationships, that really helps to go a long way, and getting in with people and getting known as a known entity that people can rely on, and getting to know agents and casting directors, getting to know preferences of casting directors. Like, certain casting directors like their files to be organized and named a certain way, or they like the slate a certain way. They have all their little idiosyncrasies, and you just learn all that like 10x faster by working behind the scenes in casting. So yeah, I would highly recommend anyone who's working or having to work like unrelated Joe jobs to figure out a way as much as possible to work in the industry, if that's what they want to do. I mean, if you love your Joe job and it's a cool environment and it's not soul sucking and it's feeding you in another way and paying bills to allow you to not be so stressed out about your acting career, then great. But if you're on a job where every time you're there, you're watching the clock and you're wishing, oh, fuck, can't wait for the day when I get to quit this job, figure out a way to ease yourself into more industry related things, working for casting directors, working as readers, working as casting assistants, working as PAs on set, drivers on set, working with us obviously is an opportunity too. So just so many things that like my career really accelerated just by having this place, because it was every day, instead of becoming, if I had a couple auditions a week and maybe a few shows a week, or when the bookings come and you're on set or on stage, that's great. But now it's like every day you're just in it. Like that day that you talked about it, we did a couple, like when you booked those auditions, we did yours. You probably the same day helped a couple other people with theirs. Then you were off to do your own theater show. And then that's when it starts to feel like, oh, I'm in this. And I know for a lot of people it's tough for that imposter syndrome to go away if you're still spending most of your time not acting. If you're a server or you're working customer service or retail or something, and you're doing your best to tell yourself that you're an actor, but and then if you combine that, if you're not in class at the same time, then it's like, well, are you an actor? Because when do you act? You're not on set, you're not on stage, you're not in class, you're not like, you're a server. You're a server with dreams of acting, but you got to figure out how to make those dreams a reality, and that's by acting. It's funny. I always think it's funny that I mean, we're called actors because of action. It's about taking action as an actor, and in life too. And you're not going to get anywhere in this career just sitting at home on a couch thinking about it. It's like, yeah, thinking's great. And that's something over maybe the last 5-10 years of my life I've changed. I used to really value thinking. I had the statue, you know, Rodin's The Thinker, the guy sitting on a rock thinking. Yeah. And thinking is important. You want thought leaders and you want people who are well thought and well spoken, but thinking on its own does nothing. And thinking on its own can be detrimental too, because you hear people, oh, I'm in my head. And being in your head is not where you want to be. Being in your head takes you out of the moment, takes you out of now. Usually when you're in your head, you're thinking about the past and what went wrong or what you missed out on in the past, or you're thinking about a future that you don't want, meaning you're worried and or anxious about things. And it's really, it's actions and being present in the now that brings you more joy and more gratitude and more of everything you want in your life, not thinking. And there's the phrase, knowledge is power. Well, no, it's not really. It's like knowledge is nothing without then the follow-up action and execution to turn that new knowledge into new actions and new habits and new ways of doing things. So yeah, if you're an actor, act.
Yep. And Cheryl said it best after she left her shadow sessions yesterday. Now I don't have to tell people that I'm an actor server. I'm an actor session director.
Right. Yeah. Actor/director. Yeah. And that's the other great thing is it is a language and it is a muscle of how do you communicate ideas to an actor that are actionable, that then they can assimilate and then actually turn into a different performance on camera. And that's challenging. That's challenging for a lot of seasoned directors as well. And that's why we always highly recommend Tom Todoroff's classes, because his classes are really classes in how to be an actor, but also how to direct, because you learn the language that then you can apply as a director. And it's so great. Like and three of the people that we're bringing on, Monine Daly, Aaron Reed, and Deanna Shinsky, they were all conservatory mates in my Ensemble 10 this past year. So the thing that I love about all of them, in addition to who they are as actors and people, is that they speak the same language as you and I. And anytime that they're going to be directing someone who has some training with Todoroff, we can speak the same language. It's almost like being multilingual, where it's like we don't just speak English, but we speak Todoroffian and Shirtleffian.
Shirtleffian, nice.
Yeah, and if you're not taking those classes, at least buy Michael Shirtleff's book, The Audition, or just called Audition. And a lot of Tom's training is based on the foundations that Michael Shirtleff started in his book Audition, and then Tom expands on them as well. So we cannot recommend Tom Todoroff's class enough. Do we have a banner for Tom's?
Yes, we do somewhere. I just need.
Well, if we don't have it today, look them up and tell them that Lars and Brandon from Laughing Vikings sent you. You can audit the first class free. And I do know if you use
yes. Although that's a not active link.
Oh yeah, that link's no good anymore.
Is it linked now?
No, it's not there. We'll do a new link. I'll build a new link for it. I think we've been revamping the web pages, so the old link might be dead. But you can check them out. Also, for those of you who join and want to join the monthly class, you can use the coupon code LARS15, and that gives everyone with Laughing Vikings. That gives you 15% off your classes if you wanted to do the paid ones, or you can just audit one for free. Those classes are great. They're full 5-hour workshops on a Saturday. It's an international community. Tom's an incredible coach. He's super inspirational. There's also a voice and speech class with a world-renowned voice and speech coach, Andrew Wade being one of them, who was the voice and speech coach for the Royal Shakespeare Company. I don't think it gets any more prestigious than that. Mary Lou Rosato is another one. She's been on our Shakespeare episode, and she was head of Cal Arts Drama. She teaches at Yale School of Drama, and she's the Shakespeare teacher with Tom with Conservatory. And then there's also a text analysis class with Emily Moulton, who is the executive director of Tom Todoroff Studios. And she does a great job of going through the text analysis. She'll break down one guidepost so that as you do class after class after class, you'll end up covering so much. Those classes are great. I miss them. I'll be back soon.
Yeah, and if you see their promo commercial on Facebook, I helped make that. So give that a like and a share.
There you go. Yes. All right. Anything else we got to talk about today?
I have a quote. Would you like to hear a quote to inspire our week, Lars?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So our quote this week comes from Matthew McConaughey, and he says,
all right.
Life is not fair. It never was, and it is now, and it won't be ever. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Tom always likes to say, to play the victim is the weakest choice. He also says, no one owes you anything in this business.
Right. Yeah, it's the weakest choice on camera, and it's the weakest choice in life, too. It's like, yeah, you might be an underdog character, or you might be losing, but what people want to see is someone fighting to win, not someone who's resigned. Oh, I'm a victim. I'm lost. Boo-hoo. Woe is me. And nobody wants to see that in life, no matter where you came from. And the flip side to that is when you see someone who's come from like horrific oppression or family trauma or childhood trauma or some kind of disastrous scenario, when you see someone who's gone through that and they still have fight in them and optimism in them and somehow still a sense of hope and abundance, that it's like, that is magnetizing. Everyone will come to that person And when you see that person, you want to help that person. Be like, oh, what can I do to help you? Let me give you this opportunity. Let me get you on board with this guy. Let me introduce you to this person. But when you see the same person who's gone through the exact same things, but they're resigned to play the victim, they're resigned to be boo-hoo, woe is me, nothing ever works, I was so hard done by. That's like, everyone's just like, well, that's life. Good luck with you. Like, oh, let me stay away from that person. Even though they both went through the same thing. So I think it's also remembering, and this can be tough, but how you see the world and how you identify, like your own identity, how you see yourself is really the reality that you'll see in the world. And what you think about the world is the reality. It's that saying of perception is reality. And you want to change your circumstances and change your life and change your scenario. First, you got to start with your own thoughts about who you are and your own thoughts about the world. And also just be really aware of your own beliefs. I think a lot of people fall into the mistake that their beliefs are facts, and beliefs aren't facts. Beliefs are just things that you think enough and you've thought them long enough or heard them long enough that you believe them to be a fact. But almost every belief that people have, if you can point out a counter argument to that belief, someone who's not that example of whatever the belief may be, then that like myth buffs or myth. I said myth buff. Now I can't say it. Myth busts. Or belief busts. So just remember, like we're in an abundant. This world is, no matter what. Like I don't give a fuck whether we're in a recession or we're in a depression or we're on the tail end of a global pandemic. We're in a world that is more abundant than it's ever been. If you believe that, your world will be abundant. If you believe that it's scarcity and there's only so much slices of the pie for you, and every time someone else gets something, that means that there's something that you're not getting, that will become your reality. But the fact is, especially for actors, there's more roles out there, there's more productions, there's more opportunity, there's more money, there's less gatekeepers, there's more technology where you can shoot your own things in HD, plus have access to a global audience through social media and through all of the amazing platforms that we have. So if you're somehow pessimistic and cynical in this world right now, I get it. Probably means that you got to pay attention a little less to the news or curate your news feed on your social media things. But just, you need to switch that and just realize that like the world and the universe is crazy abundant. And the best thing to do that is just focus on gratitude. Be thankful for all the things that you have now, and even the things that you have that you aspire to have in the future. Be grateful for them today, like you already have them, and just trust like it's that like, and so it is done. Like believing like in a future plane. Some people believe that the way time works is the past, the present, and the future are all happening in different dimensions all at once. So at some point, there's the Brandon who has achieved all of his dreams exists right now. So if you believe in that and trust in that, and trust that you're going to eventually step into those shoes because it's already inevitable, because if you can think it, it's something that can be thoughts become things. So if you can have the thought of all of your dreams coming true, then if you back it up with some of the work and the diligence and the choices to get you there, then all of those things can come to fruition.
Yeah. All right. That will conclude it. This episode 103. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for getting to the end. If you have gotten to the end of this episode, please like and subscribe. It helps out so much. And follow us on all the major podcast platforms. We are Laughing Vikings Live. This is episode 103.
And don't forget to hit us up on TikTok at Laughing Vikings for Comedy Alley shows every Friday, Saturday at 8. And Actors Audition Club for all of our acting and audition related content.
Goodbye.